Welcome to the SmartKeys podcast. We've all heard that mantra, work smarter, not just harder. But for operational teams today, when they're staring at their spreadsheets, their project boards, their budgets, what does working smarter actually look like? Today, we are diving deep into the Operations Team Efficiency Playbook, which is a really comprehensive source designed to turn that vague idea into measurable, profit-driving outcomes.
And that's really our mission for you today. We need to be very precise here with our language. This deep dive is not about boosting mere productivity.
Right.
Productivity is simple. It's just how much you produce in a given hour. Operational efficiency, though, is about the results per resource.
Results per resource.
Exactly. It's the strategic difference between two firms that do the same amount of work, but one does it with, say, 30% fewer steps, lower costs, higher quality.
And better margins.
And, critically, retains better margins and healthier cash flow. Efficiency is about optimization, not just output.
That distinction is everything right now. Optimization over just raw activity. I mean, if you're a professional out there feeling that drag of scattered tools, duplicated work, or just constant firefighting, this playbook it's a lifeline. It promises a clear path to boosting output while cutting that wasted time and cost.
And the source is clear. The challenge isn't a lack of effort. Teams are busy, they're productive.
But the processes are inefficient.
Exactly. And these strategies, they're genuinely universal. For a service firm, marketing, consulting your resources are people and time. So efficiency means optimizing schedules, standardizing templates, centralizing assets, so you cut down on that context switching.
And for manufacturing.
Same goal, different focus.
Yeah.
You're optimizing physical flow, reducing machine changeovers, cutting defect rates. The genius of the playbook is really how it translates those heavy manufacturing tactics like line balancing into daily tasks for service firms.
That's a crucial connection. Because we hear line balancing and we immediately think of, assembly lines. For our audience, how does balancing a workflow apply to a service team's daily rhythm?
It's about a constant audit of your handoffs. In manufacturing, you make sure machine A doesn't produce faster than machine B can handle.
Right, or you get a huge bottleneck.
A massive inventory bottleneck. In a service firm, it means making sure your copywriter isn't just sitting idle waiting for a design brief while the project manager is drowning in, unnecessary approval steps.
So it's about making sure the work is flowing smoothly between people.
Sustainable and logical flow. You're avoiding those peaks and valleys that just steal days from the schedule.
Okay, let's get into the diagnostic phase then. Before we can fix anything, we need objective hard numbers. How does the playbook suggest we start hunting for the bottlenecks that, steal days from the schedule?
Well, the initial step it's painfully clear. It starts with data.
Data.
You got it. You have to analyze your historical project data. Compare your initial time estimates against the actual time spent.
And that's how you calculate schedule variance.
Yes, and that flags chronic patterns. If you see that, say, legal review or design QA is consistently 30% over estimate, that's your red flag.
A huge red flag.
And that gap forces you to do a root cause review. It makes you ask why, not just accept that it happens.
That makes sense. So schedule variance tells us when we're delayed. But to find out why, we need to quantify the internal failures, right? The rework, the errors. Beyond just time tracking, what metrics should we be looking for?
We need granular, verifiable metrics. Things like rework rates, defect rates, and handoff wait time.
Handoff wait times.
Yeah. For example, if 15% of all your deliverables come back from QA requiring significant revision.
That 15% is a measurable, costly defect rate.
Exactly. But just tracking the number isn't enough. The crucial step is mapping the process end to end. I guarantee you you'll uncover duplicated approvals, hidden queues where work just sits for days, and these wasted review loops that they add up to massive losses.
It's so easy to get lost in the flowcharts, though. The playbook really stresses the human factor. It talks about interviewing employees, doing the work, and getting client feedback. Why is that stakeholder input so critical?
Because management often misses the ground truth. They're operating at, 30,000 feet.
Right.
The practical fixes live in the weeds. Employee interviews surface those hyper-specific gaps. Things like, I spend 2 hours every week just hunting for the latest version of an asset.
And the client feedback.
That validates where things feel slow or unclear from the outside. So when you combine that data with the anecdotal experience, you create an improvement backlog that everyone recognizes and buys into.
Okay, so once we have these quantified gaps, the 15% rework, the 30% variance, how do we turn those pain points into actual goals?
You have to use the classic conversion tool, the SMART framework.
Specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound.
Yes, but the real key for professionals is the R relevance. You have to link these operational metrics directly to high-level business outcomes.
So not just reduce rework.
No, the goal becomes, by cutting QA hours by 50% in Q3, we will increase project margin by 2 percentage points.
And that's what gets executive buy-in.
That's what secures it.
And to steer toward those goals, we have to track the right data. The playbook talks about leading versus lagging indicators. What's the real difference, and why do we need both?
Think of it like navigating a ship. Lagging indicators are the wake you leave behind.
They confirm where you've been.
Exactly. Margin, customer satisfaction scores, project cycle time. They prove the value, but they arrive too late to course correct.
And leading indicators.
They're your forward-looking radar. They're quick signals that let you steer in real time. Things like your pipeline to capacity ratio or on-time task starts.
So if tasks are starting late today?
You know margin's going to take a hit next month. You can anticipate problems before they crash the project.
That's a fantastic analogy. Now, the playbook gives a very specific benchmark, the 65% utilization benchmark for agencies. To a lot of people, 65%. It sounds low. Aren't we leaving money on the table by not aiming for, say, 90%?
That is the critical pushback, and it really highlights the difference between being busy and being efficient. 65% is realistic because that other 35% has to be allocated for strategic value.
What kind of value?
Deep work, training, admin overhead, and most importantly, buffer time.
Buffer time.
Yeah. A firm aiming for 90% utilization is brittle. They have zero capacity for unexpected client changes or urgent internal needs.
Or even just sick days.
Or sick days. The 65% rule ensures quality, it protects your employees, and it prevents that local optimization where one team hits 100% but just creates bottlenecks for everyone else.
So strategic slack is actually a good thing. Inefficiency measure. Okay, let's move on to technology. The playbook really emphasizes replacing scattered tools with a unified stack for, quote, live visibility.
Absolutely. The strategic move is centralization. You need business intelligence platforms, Power BI, Tableau, Looker Studio to handle the data volume.
But the tech is only part of it, right?
Oh, the real challenge is data normalization. You have to pipe in reliable data from accounting, from HR, from operations, and get them all into one unified dashboard.
So everyone has to agree on what an active project or a billable hour actually means.
You have to have a common data dictionary. Only then can you get that single source of truth.
That unified view sounds powerful. The playbook also talks about activity tracking, using tools to see work patterns and repetitive tasks. Why is that granular data so crucial before you jump into automation?
Because automation is expensive to implement and maintain.
Right.
Activity tracking shows you exactly where automation will deliver the highest ROI. If you automate a process that only happens 5 times a month, the gain is tiny.
You want to target the high-volume stuff.
You target the high-volume, repetitive steps, manual copy-pasting, slow paper approvals, status updates that take 7 clicks. That's where you find your fast, measurable wins.
And when we do start automating, say, with no-code platforms for invoicing or project notifications, what's the crucial safety check we need?
You must pair your bots with a human check at critical gates.
Why is that?
Because bots are fast, but they lack judgment. A bot can generate an invoice, but a human needs to confirm the dollar amount before it goes to the customer.
That makes a lot of sense. Prevents quality drift.
And after rollout, you're not done. You have to immediately measure the new cycle time, the new error rate, and get feedback from users to keep tuning the automation.
Of course. It's an ongoing process. Okay, so efficiency isn't just about machines. It's fundamentally about people. How does the playbook connect capacity planning, talent strategy, and employee engagement?
It's all about matching demand to skill. Strategic hiring has to prioritize roles that remove your diagnosed bottlenecks.
So if design QA is your choke point, you hire a QA expert.
Or you invest in targeted training for your existing team to fill that gap. And the data here is, it's unequivocal. Companies with highly engaged employees are 21% more profitable.
Wow, 21%.
When people feel their time is being used effectively, engagement just naturally rises.
Let's talk about the biggest friction point here. Time tracking. People often see it as policing or surveillance. How do we get accurate data without causing that friction?
This is a major cultural shift. The focus has to move from policing to coaching and forecasting.
So make it easier to do.
Make it low friction. Use built-in timers, calendar sync, logging right from a task list. It has to happen in the flow of work, not as some painful chore at 5 p.m. on a Friday.
And the playbook says to capture both billable and non-billable hours.
Crucially, meetings, research, brainstorming. This reveals where your time is truly being invested, which helps you dramatically improve future project estimates. It's about getting predictable, not just tracking who was busy.
Right. It changes the conversation from how long were you at your desk to are our time investments paying off? And finally, communication. The source cites it as a massive efficiency drain, leading to 52% higher stress and 44% failed timelines. How do we stop that firefighting cycle?
Centralization and structure, that's key. Centralize all your critical updates, goals, owners, due dates in one place.
A single source of truth.
So people stop hunting for information. And define structured rituals like daily stand-ups or weekly reviews. But the most powerful shift is making asynchronous status updates the default.
That's a big one.
It keeps work flowing, it cuts down on interruptions, and it reserves meetings for actual problem solving, not just status checks.
Let's ground this in a few concrete examples from the playbook. The agency example, where QA hours fell so drastically. How did they do that?
The agency play solved the problem of subjective decision-making. They centralized all their brand assets and standardized project templates.
A pre-approved kit, basically.
Exactly. So every piece of collateral was built from a pre-approved kit. The initial structure, the core messaging, it was already vetted.
Which means the QA process becomes much simpler.
It went from an intensive creative review to a simple compliance check. That systematic removal of subjective decisions is what cut the rework. QA hours fell from 120 or 180 down to about 60 or 70 hours per project.
That's a huge saving.
Huh.
Over 60 hours per project goes straight to the profit margin. What about the manufacturing example?
The manufacturer play was all about optimizing existing capital. Instead of paying for a new building, they reorganized their production flow and storage.
And that freed up space.
It freed up an entire extra bay in their existing facility, which they then sublet to a partner. They literally turned a potential capital expense into a new stream of revenue.
All through optimization and the professional services approach.
That one focuses on tying the human factor directly to finance, using professional services automation or PSA tools.
PSA tools.
Yeah, these systems link forecasting, resource capacity, time capture, margin tracking, and billing all in one place.
So you can see immediately where work is drifting away from profitability.
It connects every captured hour directly to the cost metrics and flags projects before they spiral out of control.
This has been a fantastic synthesis of strategy, tech, and culture. So if a listener does all of this, the diagnosis, the SMART goals, the new tech one, what is the single most important action to make sure these improvements actually stick long term?
The final necessary commitment is to close the loop with transparency.
What do you mean by that?
You have to share the decisions and the data behind them with the teams doing the work. When people understand why a process changed, what the new metrics are showing, and how their efforts contribute to the company's margin, it builds trust. It speeds adoption.
And it prevents people from sliding back into old habits.
It's the firewall that prevents teams from regressing to comfortable, inefficient habits when the pressure is on. It protects your revenue and customer value for the long haul.
That's the core differentiator. As you reflect on this deep dive, take a moment to look back at your last 3 project postmortems. Were the delays really caused by a lack of raw effort, or were they caused by operational inefficiency, unclear handoffs, duplicated efforts, wasted reviews? Focusing on that latter issue is where the real gains are.
Exactly. By choosing a few clear, powerful metrics and investing strategically in your people, your workflow, and your tooling, you can move from constant firefighting to predictable, sustained progress.
Thank you so much for tuning in to the SmartKeys podcast. We hope these insights help you drive efficiency across your organizations starting today.
Remember that focusing on optimization of resources is the only path to predictable profits in today's demanding market.
Please subscribe to the SmartKeys podcast for more deep dives into the future of work and strategy, and we strongly encourage you to read the full Operations Team Efficiency Playbook article to apply these critical steps immediately. The link to that source is available for you in the show notes.